Welcome to the Luxury State of Mind podcast, where we focus on intentionally crafting a life that feels tailor-made for you. On each episode, you'll learn how to create luxury in your everyday life and celebrate the uniqueness that is you. I'm your host, Damio Shodi, and I'm excited to help you develop a luxury state of mind. Hey there, welcome to the Luxury State of Mind podcast. I'm your host, Damio Shodi, and on this podcast, my goal is to help you live in luxury every single day of your life. So when I speak about luxury, living a meaningful life that means something to you. And we do this through 3 different principles. First one being identity, second one being intentionality, and third one being freedom of choice. So if you're like, what are these principles? What are you talking about? How can I live in luxury every single day? Listen to episode 2 where I break all of those things down. On this episode, I'm going to show you an example of what it means to, in a way, live in luxury, to live a life that's meaningful to you through my own testimony of how I moved from Florida to the DFW area. So I'm going to break all of that down for you and just share with you how it happened, what it looked like, and what did it look like to take a risk. Because sometimes what we aspire to have or what we consider meaningful for us requires risk. And with risk, we really never know what's going to happen on the other side of it. We just have to take the leap. So I'm going to share with you what happened to me as I took a risk moving here, as well as what happened immediately after I moved here. And I'll be honest, this is definitely an expectation versus reality type of thing. So I had an expectation of what I thought would happen when I was going to move here and how the Lord would do it when I got here and how I would get here. But literally absolutely nothing that I expected happened in the way that happened in reality. And just being able to, in a way, cope with that and walk with that or walk through that. We definitely have expectations of how we want things to go and what things should look like. And sometimes it's just not that way, but it doesn't mean that you're not in the right place. And, a lot of people ask me that, oh, why did you move to this area? Why did you move to Texas? And I usually just say I moved here because I wanted something new, which is true. But I never usually go into detail as to what happened, what kind of inspired me to get here, and then what happened, what was my journey once I got here as well. So I'm like, it's something good for me to share. I think just the more I share it, the more comfortable I even am with it. And then my biggest goal is to inspire you to take action or to consider something that you've been putting off or you're not sure about. And just know that no matter how it's looking, you can be able to get to the other side of things. And more importantly, the Lord is walking with you as you're going through it. Let's take it back to 2021. So this is where things started happening, transpiring. At that time, I had stopped the planter. And at that time, I was mostly focused on doing that. So I had finished up my master's program. I was just getting into coaching and podcasting and doing all this stuff. But I definitely hit a wall at that point. And like I said in the first video, I ultimately just had to stop. I just had to stop. And I feel like it was the first time in my life since, birth really, or maybe before I got to kindergarten, that I just had time to focus on myself. I'd been in school at that point for over 20 years. I had gotten 3 degrees at that point. I had been trying to work on the podcast and working and all this stuff. And by the time I got to March of 2021, I was tapped out. It was done. And I couldn't continue doing the thing at the time that I loved. So that kind of put me in a very compromising place, because I'm somebody when I focus on something, I'm like, oh, I have to go after it. I have to do it. I have to do whatever and make it the best. But now that was taken away and I felt like I had nothing to do. I felt like I just was okay, I was just at that point kind of getting up, doing my own thing. And I will say with that, even though it was tough, I definitely learned at that time to not put my value in actions or doing something, because I had to keep asking myself the question, am I still valuable? Even if I'm not creating content, or even if I don't have this job that I wanted or whatever, am I still valuable? So having to wake up and face yourself every day and having to just be like firm in that, or to learn to be firm in that, was definitely a journey. So from that time, from March of 2021, I was just focusing on me. I was focusing on deepening my relationship with God. I was focusing on just trying to stay sane and trying to just move forward, because I tell you, I didn't know what I was going to do. Like at that point, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where I was going. I felt so confused. At that point, I also felt, well, maybe I'll just stay in Tampa. Like after I left college, I didn't plan on staying in Florida, but I was like, maybe that's just, the best thing. Maybe I'll just stay at home. Time's going by, still wrestling, struggling, and all these things. And there was at a point that I went to some event with family, and basically something happened where I got into a disagreement with somebody in my family. And it was something that was so silly and so dumb, really. But that sparked something in me. And I just knew that I no longer need to be in this town anymore. I was comfortable up until that point being there and staying at home. But I just knew, like, after everything transpired with that, I really have to leave now. I've outgrown this place. It's like the light bulbs finally went on. Like, baby girl, you've outgrown Florida. At that point, I remember calling a friend and asking her to help me with my resume, help me get myself together. Because also at that time, I was like, you know what? I'm tired of taking risks. I'm the type of person that, I have an idea, I'll just run with it and go with it. And sometimes it's cool and it leads to something, and a lot of times it doesn't. But I felt so burdened by what had not transpired, or what I thought was going to be a success, and to me it was not, that I just felt like, you know what? I don't want to have to continue to keep taking these type of risks. I don't want to have to always have to be the one to start something, because even before I was trying to look for jobs and different things, I was like, oh, man, there's nothing out there that interests me. I might as well just start my own thing. But I was tired. I was tapped out. I was like, I cannot do it. No. Okay. So I contacted a friend who is in HR, and she was helping me get my resume together. And I just concluded that I'm going to move somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I'm going to move somewhere, and I'm going to get there by a job. Like, enough of this, you do content creation, entrepreneurship thing, coaching, like that's clearly not working. Let's just be normal and get ourselves a job. So I started applying. She helped me with my resume, and I would be on my computer trying to look for jobs and looking at the jobs and scrolling through, and I'd be like, oh my God, there's nothing interesting for me. Nothing is sparking my interest. And I still had the pull to do this, but do content creation. When I say content creation, really podcasted, because I need somebody to edit and do all that stuff. That part is not for me, but like creating and organizing the content, that's the part that I can get with. But I was like, I cannot, like my heart is broken with this. I just need to move forward. So I'm applying, I continuously keep getting rejections, getting rejections. So I'm like, God, how do you want me to move? Like, I'm pretty open. I had a dream of moving to New York. Like, that's always actually been something that I wanted to do when I was younger. And even up until my 20s, I was like, I'm going to live in New York, because I spent a lot of time in New York. So I was like, okay, maybe that's where I'll go. But then I had this weird dream, and I was like, maybe New York is not for me. Maybe there's somewhere else, but I'm open. So I kept praying, like, Lord, where do you want me to move? Like, show me, tell me, Jesus, tell me. And I'm going to be so honest with you. He never did. He never made it specifically clear that this is where you're going to move. Now, I knew that I needed to move. That was not a shadow of a doubt, but I just didn't know where. Didn't know how. And he quite frankly never said or revealed to me in any way, this is where you should move. I really did think he left it up to me to decide that. And I'll share how, events transpired and how I got here. But That was also something that was big for me and was a bit irritating, if I'm honest. Like, aren't you supposed to be leading me? Like, why are you not telling me where I'm supposed to go? But I think at that point, he was really leaving it up to me to be able to decide where I wanted to go. I keep facing these rejections. I keep facing these applications, and it's like day by day, I'm just feeling more and more defeated. And then I start thinking, you know what, maybe I should just get back into content creation and create something. And that's actually the starting point of how this podcast came about. So this whole concept started 3 years previously, but I also needed to face the reality that I was tired. So even though I had actually created a lot of this content before and worked on it day in and day out, I just knew that at this time, it just wouldn't be wise. I really needed to rest, to heal, and focus on where I'm going. I put luxury state of mind to the side. But again, now I'm really confused because I'm like, I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know what's going to happen moving forward. But again, there was something in me that knew I am leaving. So even while all of this was going on, I was still taking actions in faith that would encourage me about this move. Even though there was no evidence that I was going absolutely anywhere, I still was doing things that would encourage me. So the little money that I was getting, I would put money aside and save it because I said, maybe this will be for an apartment one day, or maybe this will be for my moving expenses. So I would put money aside in faith. I would have a Pinterest board about my apartment and what I want my first apartment to look like, and, what colors would I want. I was envisioning all of these things. I was telling people that I won't be here for long. I was very vocal about that. I was in a small group at that time, and I would meet up with them, and I just be like, I'm not going to be here for long. Again, didn't know where I was going, but I just knew for a fact I would not be in this city for long. And then also something else that was happening was that I knew that I wouldn't be here for long, was that everything began to feel constricted. It felt like I was just going to the same places, eating the same foods, driving up and down the same roads. There was a point I would just look at God. I'd be in my car and be like, is this all you want me to do? This road, is this all my life will be? I literally was so mad. What is going on? Why is there no doors opening for me in this way for me to go? My mates, they're getting jobs, and their companies are paying for them to relocate. Like, why are you not doing this for me? Why are there no doors opening? Like, the city itself was feeling very small, and it just felt like I needed to expand. And during this time as well, I telling you that I was praying, and I would get up every day and I would spend time in the Word. I would just try and seek the Lord on things. And looking back, I was actually looking at my journals not long ago. And looking back, I feel like even though I was like panicking in a way, like God was also showing his character through his word. And I would be writing like, it was almost like the Psalms. Like, I'd be like, why have you forsaken me? Why are you doing this? Oh my goodness. And then the next thing, like, some kind of revelation or something would hit my mind, and then I'd be like, oh, but God is faithful. Oh, he'll see me through. Oh, he'll do. Like, it was a very interesting process. And there's a scripture that I held on to, and I feel like I started knowing more about this scripture like end of 2021, and I held on to this thing like no man's business. So I'll read it to you. It is Isaiah 43:18 through 21. So it says, forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you perceive it, or do you not perceive it? I'm making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. The wild animals honor me, and the jackals and the owls, because I provide water in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland to give drink to the people, my chosen. the people I formed for myself, that they may proclaim my praise. So I would read Isaiah 43:18 through 21. Actually, the whole chapter, quite honestly. I would read that thing over and I would meditate on it. I would sit with it. There's just something like, and that's an example of like how the word of God speaks to you. So when we read the Bible, when we look at scripture, sometimes you'd be like, oh, how does God speak? It's through things that kind of jump out to you, things that you've never noticed or thought about when you're reading before, but a certain verse or verses are able to meet you at your situation or speak to you or convey the Lord's heart to you in a certain way. And like, I just knew like he was doing a new thing and I held on to that. So now we roll into 2022. And again, nothing is happening. I even went on a little birthday trip. I thought it was going to be a group birthday trip. And basically nobody could come to my little birthday party. And I was like, when I tell you, I was sad. I was so sad. I was like, what is this? Why is everything not working out? Where is this happening? Why is this happening? Like, I look back now and I really do pity where I was at that time, because it just felt like everything around me was just not working out. And it just so happened like a friend of mine called me at that time and wanted to check up on me. And she just said she just randomly wanted to call me and see how I was doing. And I was like, oh, cool. But I was just not in the mood to talk that day. But she was so sweet and she was encouraging me. I was telling her how disappointed I was because everybody would come to my birthday party. And she was like, girl, go by yourself. And I said, you right. We caught up a little bit and she encouraged me, and that was that. We'll come back to her because she's actually a significant person that actually helped me in the process of moving. Again, same thing. We're getting up, doing the same things, trying to have some structure in my days. During this time, I was really heavy into CrossFit. So that was something that I would do 2 to 3 times a week. I had a little community there. I was going to small group. I was trying to go to new restaurants. I was trying to do things that brought me some sense of joy as I was in this waiting period. And then I'm trying to create structure. I even started like a blog at that point, or the formations of a blog, learning how to put that together. So I was trying my hand at different things while I was in the process of trying to move. And again, no jobs were coming. At this point, I don't even think I was applying anymore. I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't even know what jobs to apply for. So we're going to just leave that where that is. And hopefully something comes up. And if I saw jobs that I liked, I would apply. So we were just trying every day to make it every day. At this point, this was not about a 5-year plan. This was, how can I survive today? What can I do to make myself, be sane, be at peace, and be my best today? Oh, we want to work out today. Cool. We want to take a walk. We want to go look at clothes. And a lot of this, and this is actually a good point, I think about this now. When I talk about living in luxury, and I say like anywhere, it doesn't matter your background, doesn't matter where you're coming from or where you're at currently. Honestly, a bit of despair and confusion about my life. I made choices during that time that allowed me to still live a meaningful life. I invested into things that brought me joy. I hung around people that energized me. I casted a vision for what I wanted. I was in prayer. Even like something that I like to do is go to the mall, right? And I may not even buy anything when I'm there, but I'll try on different clothes just so I know what fits my body well. How would this look if I'm curious about like a certain silhouette? How does it look on me? Do I like it? Because it's one thing to say, oh, I don't like that. I don't want this. But it's another thing to at least try and learn something. At this point, I would go into like luxury stores and just look at what do they have? What are they like? What are they selling? So I'm familiar. It's not about can I afford it now or no, yes or no. It's just to learn something, just to aspire for something. I would go to neighborhoods outside of my neighborhood. I would drive around and I would be like, man, this is beautiful, to open my mind. So even though my environment felt so constricted, I was doing things that expanded myself. I would also travel during this time. So I would go to different events to meet friends and different places, and I would use those as scouting opportunities. That's what I called it. I went to Atlanta and I went to Houston at one point, and I just be like, okay, because again, I don't know what city I'm moving to. It's my choice. It felt like it was just my choice. So which one do I like the best? And I would go to Atlanta. I would look around, see what's going on. Do I like Atlanta? Not really sure. Go to Houston. Houston was cool, really hot, but I'm like, this possibly could work. I'm not sure. I didn't know what was the qualifier of what is like for me. How will I know that this is a city for me? I just wasn't sure, but I was willing to take opportunities to expand myself, expand my, I guess, peripheral view, or expand my mind, basically. So I would take opportunities like that. I wasn't just at home wallowing. I was actively trying to expand my world, even though inwardly I felt very constricted and I felt very lost. So everything started to change in March of 2022, and specifically on March 12th. I have a thing that I like to do. I like to go to Barnes & Noble and just read, get a nice cup of coffee. Just a side note, Barnes & Noble, the cafe there, coffee is so much better there than it is at Starbucks. Just saying, just tip for you. There's a tip there, okay? So I would get a little pizza pretzel, or I would get a latte, and I would love to just sit down and read or be on my computer. So on this particular day, it was a Sunday, I was looking at just videos on YouTube, because I'm looking up testimonial videos. I'm looking up how do people move? Like, I'm trying to do things to keep the faith going for myself because nothing is happening. So I look at this video and it talks about when God closes doors or something, like 5 ways God closes doors. And I watched the video and it's like a realization came to me. Even though I knew, but it's like God seems to be closing doors in my life that I'm trying to like open. And also, if there was anything in my mind that believed that Tampa, because at this point, like I said, nothing is happening. I don't know where I'm moving. No jobs are opening up. It would look like maybe you're supposed to just stay where you are, right? But that video did the absolute opposite. It just convicted me in the best way that no, this is not where you're staying. There is something else for you. And something about it just, again, it just encouraged me. It was the right video at the right time. So then this prompted me to call a friend. And I told her about the different revelation that I felt like I was receiving. Like if I were to go back in that journal, I'd probably have a page or two of different things that I felt like the Lord was saying to me about the situation. So I tell her all that I'm sharing or all that I am getting. And I said, I just know I need to move, but there's no jobs that are opening up to me. There's nothing that's happening. And she just said something like, she was just encouraging me that maybe it's not what you expect and it's okay. Would you be willing? Because I told her, I said, I'm not one of them girls. I'm not going to hold you. I'm not one of them girls and be like, oh, I'm going to live off faith and I'm going to live in my car and I don't care. Like, I got a home. You know what I'm saying? I got a mom who loved me. I'd rather be there than to be sleeping in my car and saying I walked out on faith. That's just me personally. I just wasn't cut out for that. So I'm like, I don't know about, I'll just move anywhere and then I'll be struggling. I said, I can't do that. That's not me. She said, is there somebody that you can move in with? Like, would you be willing to live with somebody? And I was like, no, I don't want to live with somebody. I want my own apartment. Gosh, I don't want to live with somebody. I want to be able to sustain myself. I want to be able to, have somewhat of a career and have finances and live on my own. I don't want to stay with somebody. I don't want to stay on somebody's couch or whatever. And she was like, you have to move. You just have to find a way to do it. And even though this is not what you thought it would be, maybe this is a great option. Do you have any friends that maybe you could move in with? And I'm like, I only have 2 people that are on my mind. One of them we get along really well, but she still lives with her parents and I don't want to do that. But then I thought about another friend, and it just so happened to be that friend that spoke to me around my birthday. And I said, maybe I can ask her. I don't know though, but I could try. So my friend at the time encouraged me that, yeah, just ask her and see what happens. So I got off that conversation and I just felt like this is weird. Like I never would have considered this, but I guess this is something that maybe I should do. So let me just try. So I went to sleep that night and I woke up the next morning and I heard, like, it's almost like something was radiating through my body. The name of my friend. It's like I heard a voice say, call her. And it would say her name, call so-and-so, call her. Like I woke up like this and I said, oh, I really think the Lord wants me to call this person or speak to her about it, about moving in with her. So I eventually mustered up the strength that day and sent her a text. And I was like, hey, this is where I'm at in life right now. And I just feel like I needed, a new space or a new thing to do. Would you be open to allowing me to move in with you? You don't have to give me an answer right now. Take your time, no rush. But I just want to run this by you and see what you think. So this is a friend that I've known since I was basically a child. So we even grew up together. We lived very close to each other. So we're very familiar with each other. So she's not a stranger. So I think that also helped in the situation as well. I know her well enough. And, I send that text message. I tell her no rush. And I just go about my day. Just do whatever I was doing. My baby cousin, it was her birthday that day. So I made plans to go and visit her. On my way, I was driving and the friend that I spoke to the night before calls me and basically to ask me, like, how do I feel about the situation? And I tell her, I said, no, I feel like the Lord is telling me to reach out to the person. I already sent her a text message. I had told her what happened to me in the morning and all that stuff. And I knew that this was the right step. So then she came and confirmed that because she had actually had a dream about it. And she said, yeah, you're going to move in with so-and-so. This is what I saw in the dream. And she breaks down her dream. And what was really interesting about it was she mentioned that there's going to be an issue with you getting your car. Like you need to bring your car to Texas. There's going to be an issue with it. And she's going to help you solve the problem. I don't know how, but I just saw there's going to be something that happens. And she said some different things as well. And I was like, that's interesting. Okay. And we end the conversation. I'm about to enter into my aunt and uncle's home. And I'm like looking at these babies and I'm like, oh my God, like I am leaving them. Like nobody knows. My family doesn't know at this point. I really just kept this to myself. I was like, I know. And I knew that my friend would say yes. I just had a knowing that she would say yes. So I think she texted me back like a day or two later. I don't even know really like the time frame, but she basically said yes, that I can stay with her. And I, at that point, had nothing to lose. So if she said I can move in next week, I was ready to go because I had nothing that was tying me to where I was previously. Of course, my family, but I was willing at that point to not abandon them, but abandon my comfortability or whatever, or what was familiar for something new, because I knew at that point I have to move forward. I gotta go. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just gotta go. I look at them and I'm like, man, I'm really gonna miss them and I'm gonna miss my family, but I just have to go. So once she confirmed that I can go and we decided on what date, she basically told me she would be okay with me moving in the end of April. So once we had a date, I then bought my ticket. So that's how I knew it was real. So faith step number 1, buy the ticket. So I bought the ticket. The second thing that I did that helped me to really know that I believe what was going on was like for real was I bought suitcases. I bought, I think, 2 or 3 suitcases. And I basically said anything that I can fit in these suitcases is what I'm going to bring. Because it's like I'm starting fresh. So I bought the suitcases. And that's when I knew, oh, this is real for real. That was the second thing that I did. Third thing that I did was I started like closing up loose ends. So I would get like my eye exam. I think I went to go even see my doctor. I went to the dentist. Like I just did all of these things to help close the gap and just make sure I'm good before I left. And it was cool because a lot of things were given to me for free during this time. Like, it just felt like more blessings started happening once things started moving forward. Like, something that I should have paid maybe $100 for, I got for free. I think that was at like my dentist office. They didn't charge me anything. I think something even happened at my eye appointment. I think maybe they were able to fit me in quicker. Like, things just became very easy at that point. I absolutely love the opportunity to be able to celebrate with people and to know what they are doing in life that makes it more meaningful and more exciting, equaling luxury. So let's see what's in the inbox today.
Hi, my name is Kyra, and something that I'm really excited about lately is me and my now fiance just got engaged. So we're definitely doing a lot of celebrating life and love, and all the planning and stuff that's about to be happening. So we're really just trying to enjoy the moment and take it all in and just have fun.
Clap it up for Kyra and her fiance. Congratulations to both of you. This is such an exciting time, and we are excited as a community to celebrate your love and this next step in your life. So if you are interested in sharing your exciting news, no matter how big or small it is, in how you are living in luxury or what has been making your life more meaningful, then definitely send a voice note to the Luxury State of Mind podcast. There will be a link in the description for you to record just by clicking a button right from your phone, and we will feature it on the podcast. So thank you for celebrating with Kyra and her fiance, and let's get back into the episode. So I started preparing. I start telling my family once I know for real that I'm seriously leaving. I start letting them know that I'm moving, and I'll be moving. At that point, mid-March is when I decided, and I left by April. So it didn't take long. I think it took 4 or 5 weeks from the start of that to when I actually got to Texas. I started letting them know that I was moving, and they were very happy for me. I let my gym know as well that I'll be leaving, and I had really built a great community there. Love them over there, and that was tough. That was really tough because that was a safe haven for me. That actually helped me continue to have a lot more peace as I was going through this time. Letting them know that I was leaving was tough, but I knew I need to cut all these loose ends. So I'm at this point really preparing my mind. I even started a portfolio because I'm like, okay, I guess once I get there, things are going to start happening. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to be able to get my apartment. I'm not going to be able to stay long with my friend. She can have her own space. I had all these expectations about what happened. So I was preparing for those things because that's what I thought would happen. And I wanted to be prepared. A week or so before I was scheduled to leave, I had met with some friends. So my small group, this was going to be the last time that I would be seeing them before I left. We were out at a friend's place. We stayed up, had a lot of fun, talked, and said my goodbyes to them, and I left. And I was driving home. It had to have been 1 or 2 in the morning at this point. And I'm just driving home. Everything is good, listening to music. And then all of a sudden, I see these headlights come behind me. And I'm like, wait, what? And before I could do anything, I just started shouting, no. And literally, this car comes and hits my car from behind. But what ended up happening, it was a huge car. And at that time, I was driving a big car. It hits my car, and I lose control of the car. And my car starts spinning on the highway. I've lost complete control. It is spinning like this. I can see the headlights of other cars moving like this across my car. I'm actually really grateful and thankful that no car hit me. That I really had to be in God, because it is, I would say, the Lord, because literally no car hit me and I could see them as I was going. So this is happening. My car is spinning out of control. I'm screaming. I'm by myself. And then literally I feel my car stop, and I stop on the side of the highway. So on the ramp. And when I look back at the situation, when, I look at it, I'm like, man, God really wants me here. There's things that I still need to do on this earth, because where the person hit me, let's say he had hit me just maybe 10 seconds later, or whatever, let's say 10, 15 seconds later, like where I was on the highway, eventually the ramp goes off and then there's no protection. It just kind of like it's an open space and it's high. And then the bottoms are like trees. If that person had hit me anytime sooner, it is very possible that my car would have hit that side and just fallen off the highway. And I safely was able to hit the side of the road or side of the highway on the ramp. And I was in shock. I was looking at my body. I'm like, okay, I'm okay. My car is done. Somebody actually stopped on the side of the highway. God bless him. Like he stopped on the other side, ran across a highway to get to me to make sure I was okay. He's like, are you okay? Can you get out of the car? I couldn't even get out of the car because like my door was basically shut by the side of the highway. So I had to crawl out the other way. And I checked the car. I'm like, oh my goodness, there's a lot of damage. So eventually I called my mom and my uncle and I like, hey, I've gotten into an accident. Can you help me? And they come and I tell you, I hugged them so much because this really could have been a life or death situation, but nothing crazy transpired out of it. Now, I did end up walking away with a back injury at that time. Thankfully, I did physical therapy, so that really helped. But I did walk away with a lot of back pain, which I didn't have before. And then also the car was totaled, so the car was not working. And it was my mother's car at the time. But God is so interesting with that situation. I can see his hand on all of these things. Once we figured out I had to get physical therapy, I was able to apply through my insurance. I didn't pay anything for my physical therapy. And even with the damage for the car, the police were asking me questions. Multiple police officers will ask you what happened, blah, 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 try to get the side of the story. We walked away with that without having to pay a dime towards insurance. And we were able to get over 30 grand for another car. When I said like God handled all of it, I didn't pay anything. I only paid one bill because I did go to the emergency room, didn't meet the deductible. So I had to pay that. But outside of that, we didn't have to pay for my therapy that I needed. We didn't have to pay for anything because, you know, the insurance companies will be competing with each other. Like, okay, you hit my client, you did this. But the person didn't. I remember on the paper, he didn't get anything. He was at fault. So I was able to walk away free from that situation, which was fantastic because I was like, I don't need no more stress. I'm just trying to get on up out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just trying to leave. But that didn't stop me. You would think that'd be like, oh, that's a deterrent for me to not go and stay home. Absolutely not. I said, this is even more. I said, clearly, maybe the enemy does not want me to leave Tampa. I'm getting on up out of here. I don't care. I'm getting up out of here. So I was still set. My plane was supposed to leave a certain day. I was still going to get on that plane. I was still going to go. In this time, again, we're tying up loose ends. Let's get back on track, okay? Tying up loose ends, trying to send my car to Dallas. And literally, I call like a month prior. And for some reason, I think I needed a little bit of time to think about, like, they give you a price and other companies, I'm talking to other companies and all this stuff. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to go to that company, but eventually I decided to. So I take a couple of days before confirming that I want to use their services. And then because of that couple of days that I used, apparently everybody and their mama from Florida wanted to move to Texas as well. And it's true because if you're here, there's a lot of Florida plates. A lot of people from Florida are in Texas. So he was like, yeah, we got to upkeep, and a lot of people from Florida are moving, so I'm having issues finding the drivers. And I was like, that's weird. Okay, yeah, just be on standby. Because at this point, I think I'd already paid a deposit. So I'm like, yeah. And it was so funny. My family was like, oh, they're scamming you. Oh, they're doing this. They're not doing the right thing. And I'm like, no, I think something is really happening. I still need to move forward with moving. I think 3 days before I was going to move, I received a call. Because at this point, they have not come to pick up my car. It's supposed to take a week for the car to get there. Nobody is picking my car. I have this back injury. I've kind of stopped packing a little bit, or I can only pack so much. So everything is scattered in my room, but I get a call saying, hey, somebody can be there in 2 hours. Will they be able to pick up your car? And I'm like, whoa, crazy. Didn't expect that. And they're like, yeah, they can be there. Can you come? And I said, okay, just give me 2 hours and the person can come. So I quickly had to call my family to come help me pack my books and pack some stuff and anything that I also, because I said in the suitcases, anything that I could fit in my car and the suitcases, that was what was going to Texas. They helped me pack my boxes and help me pack some things and bring them downstairs because I'm out of commission. I can't do it. And then we are right on time for the people to come and pick up the car. And I remember I literally saw them I call her Princess. I literally see them take Princess away. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like it's really for really happening. So one thing they did say was whoever is going to collect the car, they're going to have a deposit or they're going to have to bring the remaining balance through a money order. So they said, oh, the car will be there by, I don't know, Wednesday or Thursday. Or no, I think even Friday. Like it would take a couple of days. So I told my friend, I said, hey, just in case, like, would you mind helping me to get like a check or a cash order so they can get that from you so you can get the car? I gave them her name and her address and all that stuff. It was crazy. Like, they literally called me in less than 24 hours and they're like, your car is in Dallas and we just dropped it off. What? Something that was supposed to take 4 days or 5 days, you guys dropped it off in less than 24 hours. And literally, I remembered my friend's dream. Like, she said, okay, like your friend is going to be helping you out. We don't know how, but you're going to need her help. And ultimately, I just needed her help to help give them the cashier check so the car can be delivered. And she helped me park my car. She even paid for street parking until I got there. Things were happening so fast. And I was already being taken care of before I even got to Dallas. The day came that I had to move and I carried my luggage and my uncle dropped me off. And when I tell you I was shaking in my boots, shaking in my boots. Because I said, what am I doing? As I got on the plane, I said, am I on the plane? I got off the plane I said, I'm off the plane? Where am I going? And I got there, like, I got to Dallas. And again, it didn't look like anything that I expected. It didn't look like what I thought it would. I thought I would have a job and they'd give me a relocation bonus. Like, I thought that's how I was going to be doing it. But no, I just moved in with a friend and she said yes. And I took the opportunity and I finally got to Dallas. So I remember getting at the airport. I spoke to my mom. I landed. I spoke to another friend. And the friend that I'd be living with, she picked me up and she was so sweet. I didn't even expect her to do that. She picked me up and she took me to her apartment. It was a brand new apartment for her. So I was like, oh, this how y'all living over here? Because I'm just used to living in a dorm and at home. I don't know what the apartment life is like, right? So then I got here and then she's like, oh, by the way, I made tacos. Oh, by the way, here's some wine. Oh, by the way, you want this? I was like, eh? Is this how I'm going to be living? And I tell her even to this day, I said, the way you took care of me from the moment I got here helped me to know that God was on this matter and he was walking with me. Because I was shaken up. I didn't know what I was doing. I was scared. I was nervous. And I didn't know how things were going to go. I had no plan. But the way she helped, the way she stepped in and assisted and made me feel so comfortable helped me so much and helped me to see the goodness of God. Sometimes it's like we're looking for, well, who is God? What does he look like? And a lot of times it's how we treat people or how people have treated us in the best way that are a reflection of the love of God, specifically the love of Jesus. And she showed me that love. So this ain't new to her. She may watch this. She knows this. I tell her this all the time, that she was instrumental to this. And she didn't make me pay rent when I was there. I think we only just split water and light bills, but she didn't make me do anything. She would share her food with me. She would take me to places. She would let me meet her friends. She just wanted me to feel so included. So I always tell her, I said, dang, I like coming back home. When I go visit her now, I'm like, man, you can adopt me. I tell her all the time, if you want, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? You can adopt me. She says no, but that's okay. But yeah, she was amazing. I finally got here. I think the day that I got to Dallas was April 21st of 2022. And I had not looked back since. I love this city. And ever since I got here, things were just different. People treated me different. They were nicer. They were friendlier. They were just amazing. People were open that, oh yeah, hang out. Like, I started making friends very quickly, or at least acquaintances very quickly. And I think something also opened up in me too, because I think when I was back, like, or when you're in an environment that's you're familiar with, you can be very like familiar, not closed off, but just like very constrained because it's familiar. What else is out there? But in being here, I had to be friendlier. I had to be more willing to go out there and meet people because I didn't know anybody. She was the only person that I knew. And then there was also another girl, which is also one of my great friends. She lived in the city, but at the time we were just getting to know each other. So I only knew really one person coming here. I had no immediate family that lived here. And I just was willing to take the risk in all areas. So now we're here, right? We're in Dallas. But the issue is I still got to make a living. I still got to live. I still have to do life while I am here in Dallas. How am I going to do that? I started applying for jobs. I asked my friend again, the one who helped me previously with my resume, to help me get my resume together. And at this point now, because my friend had given me a time limit as to how long I should stay with her. So I needed a job and I needed an apartment. At the time, I had saved up money, but thankfully I did have family support that was helping me along this process. So that was a huge factor in helping me to move here. I did have that support from family as well. So that's what I was living off of. And I was keeping my savings for when I had to get an apartment. So funny enough, things were flipped. I did not get the job first. I actually had to get the apartment because I was on a time limit. I was only able to stay with my friend for so long. So then I had to start the process of applying for an apartment. I've never lived in an apartment by myself before. I've only lived in a dorm and at home. So this was, again, all of this very new to me. And I'm trying to find apartments. Now, clearly, if you're looking for apartments, you have a budget, right, of how much you can be able to afford or what you should be looking for, because clearly you have a job or you have some sorts of income, but I didn't have none of that. So I was looking at apartments and I had these dreams about different apartments that I thought I would get. So I was like, I'm just going to go for the one that, is the nicest one that I like and that's reasonable and all these things that has everything that I'm looking for. That's on my Pinterest board. Like, that's what I'm going to go for. And I'm believing that God will even give me a great job. Like, I was really like, God is going to give me the best job, the best this, the best that, great pay. Because I'm like, this part got 3 degrees. Like, come on now. Like, we out here. We have some experience. We've been doing content creation at that point 5 years. So I'm like, I got this. I only applied to one apartment. And it was such a beautiful apartment. And I even had to extend with my friend to stay a little bit longer because I'm like, oh, it's not available until this day. And she was so lovely and she allowed me to stay a little bit longer with her. And I applied to an apartment that's quite honestly somebody who was just moving to a new city probably shouldn't have, but I had it. And I applied and I was able to get it. I don't know how I was able to get it. Well, again, support as well from family, but I was able to get that apartment and it was fantastic. I loved it. It was something new. It was my own. I had these huge windows. It was in the best location. It was in my dream location, actually. So very excited to be at this place. But now the issue is, how are we going to sustain this apartment? We have to have money to sustain it. And the family support is only going to go so far. So now I was still applying for jobs at this point, but I really get into gear. But really, I didn't even have to apply that much. A lot of recruiters were reaching out to me. So my friend, she's great with resumes. She helped me out, and a lot of recruiters are reaching out. But the issue was I was applying, or I was getting interviews. I would do for months, multiple interviews a week. Like, I could do 3 to 4 interviews a week. And nobody would call me back, or the job fell through. Like, there was a couple of jobs that I went through that I would get to the last rounds. And these are the type of jobs they do 4-round interviews. I would get to the last round and then the job would go on hold. I haven't heard from them. Where are they? Oh, sorry, the job went on hold. You can only imagine how demoralizing that felt. During this time, even though yes, I was still out here doing things, meeting people, trying to go to new places, all this stuff. I was doing all of this, but I had no source of income. No jobs were calling me back. Even some recruiters would be like, oh, I'll meet up with you. And they wouldn't show up to the call. And they wouldn't, I would be emailing them, okay, you want to reschedule? I wouldn't hear back from them. So time is running. So for the first 5 months that I was in Dallas, I had no job, nothing, no source of income, nothing. But I was still sustaining this beautiful apartment. But I was stressed. And now I'm looking at God what is going on? Why am I going through all of these interviews? Why am I doing all this stuff? What is going on? Why can't a door open? And these were great paying jobs too. They were, some of them 6-figure jobs. So I said, okay, well, clearly this is what I'm worth. So they see the value, so they should be giving me the job. But nothing would land. And I would just be crying. At this point, I would be at home. I'd be crying to my friend. I'd be crying to just whoever would listen because it was very, very hard. And that question of when people ask you, so what do you do? I go, I'm marketing, which was true. It wasn't marketing. Content creation is marketing. But it was tough. It was really tough at this time. And I felt so abandoned by God. I said, how can you bring me here? And is this the best you can do? And I kept saying, is this the best? Is this what you brought me out of my mother's house to come to a new city and not be able to pay for anything or not be able to just move forward? I'm confused. And I'll be honest, 2 years removed from that situation, I still don't have an explanation as to why, what, when. I think we can make up things and be like, okay, maybe we could infer as to why things were happening the way they were. But I do not have still, this is why things were happening. But that's okay. Things began to change. And it was in November, a job reached out to me. And I remember the recruiter was so lovely. We had actually a real conversation. We spoke. It wasn't just about the job. We had a conversation. And she was really wonderful and said, okay, there's a job that I think you'd be a good fit for. So I actually interviewed for a role at this company, the current company I work with originally. And the interview went really well. But then they decided they wanted to move forward with somebody else. So I was like, well, back to square one. I was like, all right, well, I'm used to this at this point. It's a cold world. I'm used to this. Let's go. Whatever. But then she reaches out again to me, which is, I was like, this is interesting. She reaches back out to me again. And she's just, oh, there's another team that's actually hiring for the same position. It would just be on a completely separate team. Would you be interested? And at this point, I'm like, sure, whatever. Just, yeah, whatever. At this point, I'm open. I'm actually in between another role. Again, those 4-step interview things. So I'm like, that one looked like it was in the bag for me. That role looked perfect. It was something that was interesting, great pay, great benefits. I've heard nothing but great things about the company. So I'm like, clearly, this is going to be mine. I even went to get a certification to get this role. But then this one, I interviewed for another role. Interview went fantastic. Had a great conversation with both the manager and the director, who ended up being my manager and director later. And I was like, this one is a good fit. Maybe we can roll with this. But I was thinking the other one was going to give me that opportunity. But lo and behold, again, sorry, the job has been put on hold. We're really sorry. Because I didn't hear from them. I was like, why am I? Well, you people were talking to me. Why y'all not talking to me no more? And then they were like, oh, sorry, the job has been put on hold. And then I think eventually they hired somebody internally. So at that point, the other job, current company, offered me a role. And I'll be honest with you, it is not what I expected. Nothing about this situation is what I expected. It is not necessarily what I wanted, but it was what I had at the time. And even in that, I try to find the joy and the beauty of it. So the recruiter was wonderful. We're actually close at the company now. So I get to speak with her a lot and work with her on other projects. I was able to join a really great team, had a fantastic manager, and have even a great manager now as well too. And my team is great. Everybody is so helpful. They are willing to help you. You can ask questions. Like, it was the best scenario possible for somebody who had not been in corporate and it was just getting into the workforce and was coming from nothing is happening. And I was able to get this role with these new people. Everything ended up well in that sense. It was not my expectation. I didn't expect to be in this field. That's not what I was thinking about, but it did benefit me in the end, and it still continues to benefit me. So I've been with them for a while. Through all that, this is just to encourage you that we may have an aspiration or something that we want to do, a risk that we want to take, that we know we should take, and it leads to what we view as luxury. It leads to what we think a meaningful life can be, but it's just, you never know the how, right? How is it going to turn out at the end? What is going to happen when I get there? But that's the thing about life. Sometimes you just have to take a leap and try. And sometimes one thing will create a harvest and then another thing may not. But in order to live that meaningful life, no matter where you are, you will have to take certain risks and be encouraged that, especially if you are in Christ, that He will lead you through it. He will walk with you through it. He will make provision for you, especially if it's something that is where you need to be. So I hope that this encouraged you. I know this was a rather longer episode, but I wanted to share that testimony with you just to encourage you. And maybe you'll find yourself in different places in this testimony. And maybe this is where you're at now. And it doesn't have to be, you're having to move somewhere new. It could just be you are wanting to start something new, right? Or you want to meet somebody new or start new relationships with people, whatever it is. Let this just be an encouragement for you that you may have an expectation of things, but allow experiences to unfold. Because I can tell you, being in this city was the best decision I could have ever made. Taking those risks were the best decisions I could have ever made. I love living here. I love the people I'm meeting. There's so many things to do, and there's so much more life to live. And I'm grateful for that opportunity to be able to do that. So I hope this, again, was meaningful, helpful, encouraged you, and we will definitely discuss more on another episode. And if there's anything that you're like, man, Dami, can you talk about this? Like, how do I live a meaningful life? Like, what is luxury to you, right? I want to know those things. And what topics do you want to discuss? You can let me know on YouTube. This video will also be on YouTube, so you can leave a comment there. And we're also on social platforms such as TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. So you can leave a comment there or let me know what it is that you want to see on this podcast, or if there's anything that you want to discuss. So yeah, I will speak to you on the next one. I hope you have an amazing day. Bye. Thank you for listening to the episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, please share with a friend and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also view the full episode on YouTube. Thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you on the next episode.